testimony, but I want to add a couple of points. One of the things that was happening then it was happening on the west side, now it's happening all over, and I feel like the commissioner did not pay adequate attention to this. Most business owners understand that rent is a key piece of their capacity to operate, and therefore they know what the nature of their lease is, and they will and do approach landlords months before the lease expires to say, can we talk? What kind of increase you're going to want? By and large, in my experience, in many of the places and situations we're talking about, they just get no answers. There's no obligation on the owner to sit with them. The owners are clearly imagining that they can get infinitely more for the space than that tenant can pay. They may be right, they may be wrong, but they literally do not respond. So that's an area in which there's no power left for the small business person who's critical to this operation. Then, I think there has not been enough attention paid to the fact that many small businesses that are then told the new lease, it's not only a 300, 500% increase, but it's being offered for a very short term, because the owner is thinking, well, I'll do 300% now, and then I'll do another 300% in 3 years, which means that the small business person can't put any of her or his money into building up the capital of the business, which makes it harder for the business to make a profit that can cover the rent. As I said, the story is spreading every place. I want to note that there are many, many businesses, I guess I just alluded to that are willing to pay some increase, sometimes a sizable one, that were never able to engage in any sort of lease negotiation. When those small businesses leave the neighborhood, and I heard a couple of remarks about we'll help them relocate, these are businesses whose clientele is right there. So occasionally there's a lucky opportunity to relocate around the corner, but by and large these are businesses that need to be in the neighborhoods where they've built up customer satisfaction. This business of new businesses coming in, so yes, lots of spaces just staying empty, which is just appalling, and the notion that there is not proactive effort by the city to keep track of that and to start to make those lists as they apparently have promised you is really distressing to me. But I also want to say that when new businesses come in, first of all, they're a gamble. So it's a small business, but now instead of trying to pay a $4,000 a month, it's being asked for $20,000 a month, and it has no built-up clientele. So many of these storefronts on the west side, which Gail can verify, rotate then. Some new business, you lose your favorite dry cleaner, something new comes in, it's not a dry cleaner, but oh, it's a place that you might wish to give your business to, and it's gone in 3 years. This issue of vacancy is, I think, hugely troubling, and we did some research 32 years ago in which it appeared, this is not a matter of fact because I don't have access to city tax records, but in which it appeared that owners would then file saying that their building was not as profitable as it had been because they were getting less total income from the building. They were getting less total income because they were keeping a whole row of storefronts vacant. But if they get less income, that is a cost to the city of New York. They then appeal for a lowering of their property taxes because their building isn't producing. So there's an easy place for the city to step in and look at issues of vacancy. If you're using your vacancy to lower the money that goes to the city of New York, then surely not only the community and the citizenry, but the city council should be concerned. I can't resist just saying that, at least on the west side, Gail referred to this, the spaces went and go still dramatically to drugstores and banks. And I think eventually every person on the west side, I hear this all the time, has the same question, which is what neighborhood needs a large drugstore on every corner, and what on earth are those banks doing, especially since almost everybody now banks online. And so it appears that these chain businesses are to some extent using this space simply to advertise their brand. The essence of the legislation is a little different now than it was in 1986, but not dramatically. The notion is to require the parties to come together, to require some time for negotiation, and then to require, if necessary, some form of arbitration. We recognized, as did all the small businesses that worked with us, that some of them would not be able to pay an increase that was agreed on, but at least they would have had their chance to negotiate and to be able to stay where they are, where their customer base is. The testimony of the city that there could be problems in arbitration because the owners have more access to more paperwork. Yeah, but they get some sharing of information. Right now, there's no opportunity to see any of that because there is no required arbitration. For me, this is a proposal for negotiation and arbitration, proposal for the city to step in and regulate a system that is no longer serving any of its parties, adequately, certainly not the entrepreneurs, the workers, the communities, and their citizenry. I want to just one or two other personal notes. I have been contacted about this legislation by people in other cities, by people in this city, and by members of the press on this issue more than any other issue that I actually managed to get passed, which I'm very proud of. But this is clearly an issue all over the place. I thought I would note for you that last year a well-known figure who I will not identify came up to me in a restaurant and said, "Remember when I was working with the mayor against your commercial rent bill? Well, now the problem is infecting my neighborhood, and I see how right you were." I'm not going to identify him, but I want to take this moment to salute one of the wonderful business leaders forced out by exorbitantly large rent increases. His name is Alan Rubin. He inherited and ran Radio Clinic on Broadway and 98th Street. There is a new book about him by his daughter called We Are Staying. The We Are Staying refers to the fact that this business, which had been growing for about 50 years, stood by the community after the 1977 riots. The store was rebuilt, expanded its business into appliances, mobilized other businesses to stay, and continued to serve the community until it was forced out by excessive rents. So this is a story of an 80-year business that was put out despite its commitment to stay. In conclusion, I would just say that this city thrives when it builds community, strengthens neighborhoods, and provides business opportunities and jobs for its citizenry. Huge rent increases and failures to negotiate put small businesses out of business, strangle entrepreneurs, damage neighborhood quality of life, and take away jobs, threatening the fabric of life in this city.